Hello everyone, welcome back to Life Technologies YouTube channel, and thank you for watching and supporting us. So I'm back again with another video of how to troubleshoot OSPF for Nokia routing devices. So you've configured OSPF, that adjacency is failing to come up. How do you troubleshoot it? Which are the tools available for you to use and be able to establish the exact reason why that adjacency is failing to come up? So remember, in our last 3 episodes we've discussed the area mismatch, the router ID conflict, and then the timer, the hello and dead timer mismatch. So you need to ensure that those 3 things are matching on both ends of the link, and your adjacency will be able to come up. But there are other reasons that could cause OSPF adjacency to fail to come up. So will be the fourth scenario of how to troubleshoot OSPF on Nokia routing devices. So normally we start by testing the connectivity, show router interface. We have interface to P2. We can ping 10.10.10.1, the far end IP. On router 2, we do the same, show router interface. We can ping 10.10.10.0, the far end IP on P1. So our connectivity check is okay. We move to the next stage. We check our OSPF configuration info. You can see that we have configured the route ID of 2.2.2. The area, we don't have any timers configured. So the first 3 scenarios are all okay. On router 1, we also check the configuration info. We've configured the route ID okay. The area is set to 0. We have activated our interfaces in OSPF, interface system, and interface to P2. And the OSPF is enabled. But when we run show router OSPF 10 neighbor, we don't have any neighbor relationship established between R1 and R2. So what could be causing the failure for the adjacency to fail to establish? So we need to again use the tool that we have discussed in our previous episode. We will start by checking the statistics, show router OSPF 10 statistics. You can see that we have the discard, so which means we have error packets between the 2 routers. They are being discarded on P1. On P2, we also have the same, show router OSPF 10 statistics. We have error packets, the discards on this router. So this one doesn't give us a clear reason why our adjacency has failed to come up, and we need to check further. So remember, another tool that we discussed is to check the messages, the log messages that we are getting from the hello packet that are being exchanged between the 2 routers. So we go ahead and show log ID 99, and yeah, we can see the reason why we have issues with OSPF adjacency. So these were previous messages. I can clear the previous messages on this router. So how do we clear it? It's clear router 10, clear log ID 99. So when we run show log ID 99, we should just get the new messages, so we can keep running the same. We don't see anything to do with OSPF so far. So we can check on router 1, show log ID 99, and this is where we find the exact reason why we are having issues with establishing our adjacency. You can see that we are having conflicting configuration interface type mismatch on interface to P2. So we need to check the OSPF configuration on this interface, but clearly tells us that we have interface type mismatch. Remember, OSPF supports different types of interfaces. We have point-to-point, you have broadcast, you have non-broadcast. So if we check the configuration again, you can see that on this interface, we've configured the interface type to point-to-point. But when we check on R2, configure router OSPF 10, info, we don't have any interface type configuration, so it's using the default. So when we do interface to P1, it's area 0, should be under area 0, then interface to P1. Info detail, you don't see any no interface type configured, but when we run show router OSPF 10 interface to P1, we need the detail command. You can see that the interface type is set to broadcast. So by default, the interface type will be set to broadcast. We can run the same command, show router OSPF 10 interface. This is to P2 detail. On this other end, you can see that the interface type is set to point. When we check the logs on R2, show log ID 99, we still don't get any messages about the error, but on R1 you can see that we are getting the error messages. Show log ID 99, we have the interface type mismatch error messages coming in on this router. So this one clearly tells us that we have misconfiguration in the interface type. If you are configuring an interface to be point-to-point, then it's always recommended that the other side should also be point-to-point. If you don't configure it, then don't configure on both ends, so that by default it will be a broadcast interface. So we can go ahead on R2 and configure the interface type to be point-to-point, or we can disable the interface type configuration on R1. I want it to be point-to-point, so I will configure the interface type to be point-to-point on this router. Info, so we have the interface type configurations on this router. Do info again to verify the configuration. Show router OSPF 10 neighbor. Yes, our adjacency is now up. So you can see that whenever you misconfigure the area types on the interfaces, the interface type that is, you will end up having to troubleshoot your OSPF adjacency. And you can use the available tool that we have discussed. You can check on the statistics, you can check on the logs, and it will clearly tell you that you have a misconfigured or mismatch of interface type on both sides of the router. So when you configure OSPF, remember that you need to match the interface type on both sides of the interface, and your OSPF adjacency will come up without any challenges. I hope you've enjoyed this session. If you have, kindly hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and stay tuned for more upcoming videos, because there are many other reasons that could lead to OSPF adjacency failing to come up on or failing to come up when you are configuring OSPF for Nokia routing devices. So just stay tuned for the upcoming episode on this channel. Thank you.